People were starting to say it's an East Coast, West Coast rivalry because it was people that's trying to make money. It was true people trying to make careers. It was people trying to get famous. And Tupac's a legend. Like I said, Tupac wasn't born, he was sent.
It happened just after lights out. There was a pause half a second too long between the buzz of the electric lock and the slow creak of Suge Knight's cell door. Nobody moved. A guard appeared. No commands. No sound except tension. Then chaos erupted. Figures emerged from the dark fast, brutal, silent, but for the dull thuds of fists and steel meeting flesh, shouts were muffled. Blood hit concrete. Suge hit the floor. When it ended, he was left mangled, blooded, broken, barely breathing.
Named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac's
breathing, split lips, fractured bones, drenched in silence, but the silence told a bigger story. Not a single camera had caught it, like it never happened at all. Single quotes talking about a man locked inside one of the most secure prison wings in the entire state. Suge Knight, founder of Death Row Records, the mastermind behind West Coast dominance in the 90s, viciously attacked in what prison officials are dismissing as an isolated incident. But insiders, they're not buying it. Not when the surveillance system suddenly glitched out. Not when the playback files were conveniently corrupted. And certainly not when the only working camera just happened to be pointed at a mop bucket. This wasn't a random fight. This was theater, cold, calculated, and staged to look like chaos. And the cast, still unnamed. Still unaccounted for. Here's the thing, Suge Knight isn't just another inmate. He's a vault, a walking archive of hip-hop's darkest, most dangerous secrets, and lately, he's been opening it. From his prison podcast to late-night calls with reporters, Suge's been talking like he's got nothing left to lose, dropping names, exposing betrayals, unveiling truths the industry has spent decades trying to bury. But what set off the alarm was his latest bombshell, a claim that threatens to rewrite the story of Tupac Shakur forever. Suge says Tupac, the icon, the legend, the rebel, didn't want to be saved, that after the bullets tore through him, in the chaos and agony of the hospital, Tupac whispered.
The only man currently facing charges in the case, Dwayne Keefe Davis, claims that Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, paid for a hit on Tupac.
I'll die before I go back. He shoot me. According to Suge, those were Pac's final wishes, and it gets darker. Suge claims Afeni Shakur, Tupac's own mother, honored that plea, allegedly instructing doctors not to revive him when his heart first stopped. Had kind of revelation doesn't just shake history. We've all heard the wild theories before. Holograms, lookalikes, Tupac living quietly in Cuba. But this isn't internet gossip. His came
right now. Davis is fighting for bail ahead of his trial, which he has pleaded not guilty for.
Came straight from the only man who was in that car with Tupac Shakur the night of the Vegas shooting, Suge Knight. And if Suge is telling the truth, then the question is no longer who pulled the trigger. It's who made sure it counted. Afeni Shakur was a revolutionary, a mother lion, fiercely protective and deeply respected. But what if Suge's version reveals something colder? A choice not made from love, but from resignation, or something even darker. Pressure. Who stood to gain if Tupac stayed silent? If his truth, his rage, his reach, all vanished with him? If Suge's words hold weight, then maybe the final betrayal wasn't on the street that night. Maybe it came after. In the silence. In the decision not to bring him back. Suge insists it wasn't just Tupac who feared going back to prison. According to him, the idea of being locked in a cage again, after tasting freedom, fame, and standing on the edge of immortality.
Yes. He hated every bit of it. I remember one time, he was like, who did you grow up listening to? I'm like, Tupac. I ain't mentioned Biggie. That nigga ain't even talk to me for like 4 days after that. Everything with Pac, like, you couldn't say Pac was anything better than Biggie. You can't put them in the same realm or nothing. It was all about Biggie.
Is what ultimately broke Tupac's will. That's what killed his fight. Not everyone's convinced. Some former death row insiders say Suge is just spinning the narrative, trying to shift blame, reframe history, and place the spotlight anywhere but on himself. The timeline tells a different story. That same day, Tupac was involved in a brawl at the MGM Grand. Legal trouble was looming. Charges were possible. Tensions with the East Coast were at an all-time high, and the air was thick with betrayal, rumors, circling like vultures over fresh blood. But here's where it gets darker. Suge isn't just talking about Tupac's final wishes anymore. He's linking it all: the fear, the silence, the death, to something bigger. A power structure that reaches deep into the heart of the music industry. On his prison podcast, Collect Call, Suge has been inching closer to naming names. He's accused the industry of orchestrating hits, covering up evidence, and silencing anyone.
And that was to destroy East Coast rap. And what I mean by that, and I know people gonna like, yo, Gene is out of his mind and everything like that. Check this out, brother.
In one episode, he didn't hold back as Suge flat out said, Diddy deserves to be in jail for what happened to Tupac. Another time, he claimed Dr. Dre paid people to have him taken out. And when asked about the upcoming trials, Suge didn't mince words. He said, Diddy's just a symptom of a much larger disease. Suge insists it wasn't just Tupac who feared going back to prison. According to him, the idea of being locked in a cage again, after tasting freedom, fame, and standing on the edge of immortality, is what ultimately broke Tupac's will. That's what killed his fight, but not everyone's convinced. Some former death row insiders say Suge's just spinning the narrative, trying to shift blame, reframe history, and place the spotlight anywhere but on himself. And the air was thick with betrayal, rumors, circling like vultures over fresh blood. But here's where it gets darker. Suge isn't just talking about Tupac's final wishes anymore. He's linking it all: the fear, the silence, the death, to something bigger. A power structure.
They did not want East Coast rappers to get big. They were suppressing all new artists that was coming out of New York. Jay and Diddy was doing that.
That reaches deep into the heart of the music industry. On his prison podcast, Collect Call, Suge has been inching closer to naming names. He's accused the industry of orchestrating hits, covering up evidence, and silencing anyone who speaks too loudly. In one episode, he didn't hold back. Suge flat out said, Diddy deserves to be in jail for what happened to Tupac. Another time, he claimed Dr. Dre paid people to have him taken out.
Cause him and Diddy was giving that deal, we gotta keep these East Coast rappers down. Cause down south rappers, Cash Money, No Limit, Ludacris and them, they was taking little money and bringing back more money and making more money for them.
And when asked about the upcoming trials, Suge didn't mince words. He said, Diddy's just a symptom of a much larger disease. And now, with his body broken from an attack that's looking less like a brawl and more like a professional hit with every passing detail, Suge Knight may be running out of time to speak, but if history has shown us anything, that's never stopped him before. In fact, it's only made him louder. He's no longer just painting himself as hip-hop's villain. He's inching toward martyrdom. The power-hungry mogul who once crushed rivals with a single phone call cast as a prophet, shouting warnings from behind concrete walls, while the very industry he helped build slowly tightens the noose. What did he call it? No Limit. Ludacris. They were flipping small cash into serious returns and doing it fast, turning little money into big moves. But the real question is, why now? Why the sudden escalation? Could it be the Shakur files reopening? Could it be Keef D's trial and the names he might still drop under oath? Or are we witnessing the final act of a long?
They was not scared of Suge Knight. They was terrified of Suge Knight.
Dangerous story. One man spilling everything before the curtain comes crashing down. We may not know who orchestrated the attack on Suge Knight, but what we do know is chilling. It was clean. It was efficient. It left no trail. And in the cold, calculated world of real power, that's not revenge, that's containment. And then there's the Tams Burgers incident, what some now call the homicide burger setup. Suge Knight may be serving time for manslaughter, but his version of what happened in that Compton parking lot, it reads less like a reckless crime and more like an ambush, scripted by people with a lot to lose, because Suge didn't flinch when it came to naming names. He claims he was lured there under the pretense of meeting Dr. Dre, the same man Suge once helped raise to icon status. According to Suge's sworn statement, a call came in from a mutual contact. Dre wanted peace, a sit-down to squash the tension, and the lawsuits, bury the past. But when Suge showed up, he found no peace offering. Just flying fists, flaring tempers, and moments